Good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. I am actually going to have to switch my sound system as we speak. Give me a 5x5 if you can see and hear me. And then obviously I will give you an update on what's gone on today. And let's change all my settings on there. Give me a 5x5 that you're seeing and hearing me. And then we're going to get into a few bits and pieces. I can't think. It's a bit funny, that. I'll tell you what, I can't tell you anything until you've all shared this video. Right? If you all go away and share this video, and then we'll have a proper conversation about what happened today. So there's two cases. I happen to be in court all day today, but Charlie Staples was up in front of the judge, to and fro, right? And he turned the judge in his favour. The judge was like, "What was said in your trial? What did your trial judge say?" "I've never heard anything like that." He said, "Yeah, no, it did. We got the," and then that's why they took away. Really, right? And then he started liking it. So we'll get on to that, and hopefully we'll do a show next week with Charlie. There's some other bits and pieces we're going to get involved with. So please like the show, and obviously subscribe if you're not subscribed. But it is of major importance that you all share this, right? Because people need to know that this is happening, right? So I'll give you a few minutes to go and do what you got to do, because it is really important, right? Juicy and Lucy, how you doing? Am I going live on YouTube? Am I going live on Rumble? Am I going live on X, as it's now called? We're gradually getting up there with the numbers. So as you share this, and it is important that you share it. So I'm going to say it again. I need you to like. I need you to subscribe. And we as a team, right? So bear in mind, I've stood in court today representing all of us. Share this for us, right? And again, I'm seeing some 5x5s coming in so everyone can see it. John Godley, I don't know. Harding, our Devonshire man, now currently living in Leicestershire. Everyone put it out there, and we're going to go and put some more information in. So everyone watch it. I haven't long, if I'm being honest, been in. It was absolutely red hot on the tube, and I couldn't even breathe properly where it was so packed and hot. I'll go into sort of panic phases there, because I always think to myself, please don't have an heart attack on a tube, because you're going to die. And I do mean that. You will die on a tube if it's hot. And there were people, and there was a guy who's drunk, who fell on the floor, and people were just stepping over him. Right, that's what they do. There is absolutely no compassion in London whatsoever. They're like robots. They just sit there like that, playing that funny game. So keep putting it out there. Jules Ann, Middlesex man, it was an absolute pleasure to see you today. And we are going to go through quite a bit. So I'm so excited to hear the gossip of today's events. Woohoo! Evening DD, evening Patriots, everyone out there. I was extremely... So let me crack on, because there's quite a bit we're going to be talking about here. You still need to be sharing this and getting it out. There will be... So there's a number of things. The judge comes from Liverpool, a lady judge. She did listen to me. There was a guy who's done loads of these petitions, some form of specialist. He done a bit of a spiel, but he emphasised and emphasised and emphasised and emphasised the costs, and even the judge got fed up with it and said the petitioner has paid £5,000 into this court, right? Basically, so yeah, but it's going to be a lot more than that, right? Just to let everyone know, the judges asked. She said, I'm asking you to assess your costs because they need to crowdfund it, and then I'll speak to the petitioner, Mr. Moore, about what he's going to do. And I've said we're going to crowdfund it. And I said, but this is basically, what they try and do is bankrupt people, so they can't then stand in an election. Right, one way or the other, they've got you out of politics, and it's an absolute disgrace. So. Most importantly, don't forget, keep sharing this. It's really important. Hit the like button, right? And it's really important you hit the like button, right? So when I hit that button in about 2 minutes, I want to see over 100 likes, right? Because then we all feel that we're part of the team moving forward. And don't forget to subscribe, right? We're the only group of people fighting for you. And I actually said that in the High Court today. So the first thing to say, it was actually a High Court hearing. It wasn't in chambers. Our wonderful audience, many of whom turned up and was very good in the background. There is a key point of news there, and that is that there were 2 Americans sitting in the gallery from the American embassy who made it known, I believe, to the usher that they are keeping an eye on the case. Right now, they didn't speak to me; they spoke to someone else. The whole point of this is our letters to Secretary of State Rubio. In my opinion, because we work as a team, they've gone, you need to look at this case, right? So we've sent them letters, recorded delivery to the Secretary of State, and said there is severe cheating going on in England, and that's why we got basically a communist government, and it's because they're cheating. So that is a massive positive, right? So there are people watching. I also explained to the judge, so let me go through what they was talking about. First of all, they really are fighting. So Sarah, I really should be more structured than this, but I'll carry on, right? It's just as exciting for me because now I'm not in the court. I'm not, and it is nerve-wracking. And you're actually in the High Court, right? There's law books everywhere. And it looked like my front room, right? So the whole point of this is Sarah Pouchin, solicitors, barrister, lawyers, whatever, were there. They come up, introduced themselves, shook hands, and said, "We're here." Right? I said, "Fair enough," but they stayed back and they said, "We're here technically, really, as interested parties, but there is no evidence at all that we've done anything wrong. It's the return and other aspects, right?" So that was fair enough. They've parked it. I actually said to the judge, "I've met Sarah Pouchin. She's a lovely lady, blah, 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 blah." Well, apart from the fact that she was a magistrate, right? Londoners and Scousers have got issues with nodding dog magistrates. I've got to tell you something, right? Establishment figures ain't my thing, right? So anyway, but other than that, without being too crude, she's got a lovely arse. I only see the back of her when she kept getting up at the hustings. I was like, Right, anyway. So from that side of the fence, again, they was there. Counsel for the returning officer, he was the one who done most of the talking, which I'll get back to in a couple of seconds. The counsel for the Royal Mail, they just tried to strike this strikeout of we want to strike out, no strikeout, not yet. There is going to be another hearing, and the argument. And I said, well, yeah, they've supplemented Emma Guilford's name, personal name, for Royal Mail Group Limited, and they said it was an ex parte application. They never said it. All we got was the order from the judge, right? So part of their argument, first off, was you can't change the petition once it's been put in there, blah, 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 blah. That's what they was putting over, right? And then this other guy came up and said, well, we put an application in and we changed the name. she said, well, he's just said you can't change the petition. So now you're saying that you've put an application in and changed the name. You're not, either you're allowed to do it or you're not. Right? So she was good, the judge, right? And he was like, and I thought, here you go, watch this, right? Wait till it's my turn, right? Then the various other elements happened. So, and then the police didn't have a lot to say for themselves, so they sat back. And there's other elements of the case that I've got to put forward. They're going to put a skeleton argument why they shouldn't be in it. But what they was really pushing on was costs. And I've got to be honest with you, I think it started to annoy the judge. So when it got to, there's a lot more that was said by this guy, and he went through different things, and this element and that element, and this may be slightly wrong with the petition, of course. And then he gave us a couple of things to read through. You must read this, you must read that, and give me all this stuff, right? And then when it was my turn to speak, hopefully I did it justice. Bearing in mind I've got to wear a hearing loop, so I take my hearing out, put it, and it's a bit disorientating wearing them things. I had to pull the thing off a couple of times. But basically what I said was, who we are. I said, so I am the petitioner, Graham Harry Moore, and I represent two organisations. One is as the president of the English Constitution Society, and the second as the English Constitution Party. We represent disabled people and pensioners, right? So people literally that have been abused by the state. She didn't like that, but I said it, right? And we went through a number of things. She said that, but what we've got to do is stick to this. I said, I get that. I said, I'm just letting you know our position. And I said, this is about constitutional rights. And I will say this, there's been a lot of argument about this has got to be correct and that. And I said, have you read my submission to you? And she said, I have indeed. And I said, in that submission, you will note that I have brought up the Judicial College's manual on litigants in person, right? So I said, I know the law and I've studied the law, the Constitution in particular, for 30 years, right? So there isn't an issue with that, but I don't present cases. That's not what I do, right? And I am regarded as a litigant in person, although I am the petitioner, so therefore I have audience in this court. She agreed with that. And she said, and what I said to her was, the Judicial College manual in particular has a section on litigants in person. And it says to the judge that you should not be looking for tick boxes or dates or whatever. If something's slightly out or not slightly out, you should give leeway to the litigant in person and always have the end goal in mind, which is justice, not the process, right? So it must be about justice. And I explained that to her and she accepted that. She's looking at that. And I don't think the other side, the other respondents, was aware that I even knew about that, right? So again, all of a sudden they're like, bang. And I've said, if you go back through history, again, it's in the submission, Ashby versus White, 1703, and we are governed by consent. And those votes must be allocated to who we voted for. Now, part of my future submissions, and people listening to this must listen carefully to what I'm saying, because this one's going to smack them straight on the chin, right? Misallocation and misrepresentation of your vote. The respondent for the returning officer, the legal professional, stood up and said, a single electorate, her ladyship, can bring an election petition. People don't know that. But you can only do that if you vote, right? A single electorate can bring a petition. The point I'm trying to make to you is this, that in 2011, we had a referendum in this country, and we strongly, I think it was 57 or 67%, voted against alternative vote. And what we're seeing ad hoc by communists in this country is them deploying an alternative vote system against your wishes by allocating your vote to their party and not the party of your choice, right? And that is highly unlawful. It is a double whammy because we had a referendum on it, right? Now, the reason why we as a nation are now governed by communists is because they cheated in the general election of 2024. We know they did that. And people haven't got the bottle to bring a petition like this. Anyone who is in that court today, and we had a fantastic, full, right, gallery. The judge was looking at the gallery, right? Wonderful people. I could not be happier. By the way, very well behaved. Didn't put a foot out of line, right? I also had, and again, a great thanks to Steve Lomas, who come and sat right up the front with me and literally wrote down all of the notes, etc. As we went through the case. And then I obviously got up and spoke to her ladyship. Now, it went on. I don't know how long we was in there. Does anyone who come up there today know? Is everyone enjoying this, by the way? I've got to tell you, it was a bit nerve-wracking, right? Especially when you're actually like, oh, this is actually the High Court, and it was a proper High Court session. And she said to me, one of the problems we've got, and she said, it isn't your problem, it's our problem. So first of all, she said, you're the petitioner, right? She said, what's the most important thing for you today from this? I said, we must have this petition hearing date set for Runcorn. She said, right, I'm going to do that, right? But these people are saying that they're going to try and do a strikeout. I said, some of what they've put in their alleged strikeout, I believe is for a trial. And she said, well, that will be part of this other hearing, right? She said, there's other elements that we can cover off with that, right? So the basis of it is she was really nice, and she was 100% listening. If I waffled in a certain direction, she sort of stopped me and said, no, let's concentrate on this. And obviously we come back to the points that she was asking me. I don't think waffle in any way. I answered the questions directly. We set all the dates up, etc. That I can't be there. It means I'm going to be working. If I'm off to Portugal, I'm going to be working on this case because they've tried to put things in between. She turned round because it was the respondents that put all these dates forward, right? And she said, Let me just make sure this is clear. This is the petitioner's, Graham Moore's petition, right? Lawyers are two a penny, right? We can get you anywhere from anywhere. You can be swapped about. He can't, right? So the dates are going to be what he wants, not what you want, right? And if any one of the people in this court now can't attend, get someone else. But he has to attend. So we're going by his dates, right? So I was happy with that, right? So we set out what we could do. She said, are you happy to get electronic communication when you're out of the country? And obviously you'll have to be working on it. I said, I haven't got a problem with that. It's whether I've got direct access to do things. So she then said, right, we're all in agreement that the petitioner can respond, and you've all got his email address, you can do this, blah, blah. And they're all like, yeah, nodding dogs, yeah, we'll do as they're told now. But the main thing she come back with, she said, I'm gonna ask the respondent. She said, they don't have to do this. But she said, what I'm going to do, before I do anything else, I'm going to kill this fly. Right? Right. It's come back again. What is this fly? Why is this fly coming here? That's really aggravating. She said, because they droned on and on and on. They're trying to frighten the life out of me with costs, right? And I've said we'll crowdfund it. By the way, people, this could come to a hell of a lot of money, right? And she said, as long as you understand. I said, I understand the risk, my lady. I said, the issue I've got is someone's got to stand up to this. Someone has to stand up to electoral corruption, basically, and it's me. That's it. What can I do? So we're pushing this forward. So she said, what we'll do is we'll get these to put their costs. And she said, I'm doing that basically not to frighten you. So for your crowdfunding, you can say, we need to hit this target, right? And she said, then you can start promoting it. I said, well, part of the problem that we've got is there is a news blackout on this petition. And she went, no, this petition is listed. And I went, no, Mum, I'm not. I said, I'm not saying you or the High Court have blacked it out. I'm not saying that, in effect, there's a D notice or anything like that. I'm saying that the mainstream media will not talk about this. And I said, that affects our crowdfunding, right? And they know that, right? Basically, all of this went forward. So she and I said, and that's why it's very important that we actually get a trial date. And we need to advertise the petition. I said, people are coming forward telling us 6-7 figures, right? People are telling us that they didn't receive the leaflets and they did vote for us. I said, once it's advertised in Runcorn and Helsby, I said, it's about the constituents. Part of, obviously, our case going forward, and it's really important, we stand for pensioners. We're the only political party, right, that stand for, in particular, so self-determination. I also explained to her, I said, we haven't got some wishy-washy policy documents as our manifesto. Our manifesto is the English Constitution, right? We actually represent the rule of law, right? And then I said that we represent pensioners and disabled. That's a crucial thing. So in the case, as we put it forward, we'll be telling the court that, which is true, once disabled and pensioners know we're standing somewhere, right, they vote for us because there is no one else. There is no one else. And most older people, one, vote, right? And two, they're the ones being abused by the state. She didn't particularly like me saying that, by the way. And I said, but that's the situation. So therefore, if you look at the strategic element of this, the population's getting older. It's obvious we're going to get more votes. So there's lots of bits and pieces. I'm trying to. It's a bit more difficult trying to remember things because most of what I was pinned to was what was going on, and they was trying to do certain things. But the biggest thing that we got over to her today was the particular was and she'd read my submission, which is fantastic. The submission was quite detailed in what's going forward. So now what she's done, or what we've all agreed to, so everyone's agreed to certain dates, and she said, what are, when I say she, I mean my lady, her ladyship, right, has said, right, these are the dates that Mr. Moore is not in the country. So we need to, if there's any court dates, she said, but you will probably have to still work on the case when you're abroad. I said, no, I ain't got a problem with that, as long as they say send me, and don't do no changes. They need to send me what they're submitting. So I'm working on the right information, right? She said, no, that's exactly what we're going to do. And then what we're going to do is, she said, you'll come back up to the High Court for a day, and these other submissions are going to be heard, and you'll have a chance to argue against it, put your own skeleton argument in, your own arguments of why they're wrong, etc. We'll listen to you. But she said the most important thing is she said, and again, she said, it's not your issue. It's the issue of this level of judge, right? It's not just one judge. She said, I am going to be your hearing judge, right? but there's another one of me. So I've got to fit myself in. And she said, so I'm telling you from October the 2nd, right? So that's roughly when the petition hearing is going to be in Runcorn. She actually said the 2nd. I've looked at a document that's just come back and it said from the 1st onwards. She said the 2nd, right? She then said, there's another High Court judge with me, right? So we both listened to this petition, right? 2 High Court judges in Runcorn, right? And then she brought up the Runcorn and Lincoln Railway. This made me laugh. she said, I've noted that you've made, this is it, the respondents. You've said you want to go to the Runcorn County Court. She said, it's been gone for years. She said, I used to be a judge there. It's closed down. She said, who put that in there? This will make you laugh, right? I said to her, and I said, obviously, your ladyship, I said, I don't use AI. She was like, good. She's sort of looking at the others, and they're all sitting there. And then some of the gallery said, the other Susan and Barristers were all on their AI in the thing, and it's me saying I don't use AI, I use books, right? And I was like, so that was quite funny. And she just basically said, you know, what you need to put forward is if you do research, check your research. Don't start putting stuff in. And I said, no, we don't do that. So the kicker is it moved on from there. She said, thank you to everyone. And again, I'm not sure how many people was there today, but the gallery was full. So when I first got there, there's a few people that met me outside, had a coffee, had a cold drink and all that. There's a couple of people across the road waiting. Andy, his wonderful cousin, Steve Lomas, Kenny, Middlesex Man, Charlie, got there late, right? Not for his own one, for my one, right? Jimmy. So there's all these people there. So I'm seeing them. I thought, fantastic. I'm thinking to myself, right, it's room 15. Anyone know where it is? Yes, I've already been there, pre-checked it, know where it is, know exactly where it is. Jimmy went in there and sussed it. Right. So that makes life so much easier for me, right? And no messing about or prattling about doing different things. We're all focused. Everyone should know what we're doing. So when I get there, you've already worked out where the room is. We go straight up the stairs. As we've walked in there, the bloke said, are you Mr. Moore? I said, yeah. And then someone else come out. And I walked in this court and I thought, all these people there must be another case on. And they went, no, that's your gallery. Backed out there and all these other people had just appeared and all going to me, hello, right? So there was Colin and Jane there sitting right behind us, etc. So it was fantastic to get the support. Why is it important in a situation like that? Because the judge sees that there's public interest, right? It's not. She's like, well, hang on a minute. I've got a packed gallery here, right? So that the people are here. And I explained to her, obviously. So is there anything else I forgot? Because I've got notes, but my notes ain't on me. They're in the other bag. Is there anyone else who wants to fuss or feels this is such great news? It is, but I must remind people, and I just want to make sure you all know this, right? They are doing everything possible to kick this case out, right? And I've got a lot of work to do to rebut all their arguments, if you want to call it that. And again, what they're trying to do is put pressure on us and the court. She was basically saying, oh, that's the other thing she said. I kept going, I think she got a bit annoyed because they kept talking about costs. And I said, we should have access to justice. These are constitution and common law rights, right? And what did she say? she said, I just want to also, just make sure you're all aware of this. She said to the court, tell me if I'm wrong in saying this. I'm sure she said this. She said, it is at the discretion of the judge. All right. So she said, I'm the one who says costs are not, and I'm the one who says whether costs are reasonable. I'm the one, or we could allocate costs in a different way. She said, that's basically down to me or down to the judges. But it was the justice element that she was keen on, and she said this is an election petition, so it's it is a common law right and a constitutional right, which I emphasised. Maybe if the Yanks get hold of it and get us some big publicity. Well, again, the Americans were there. So just to let you know, they made themselves, as far as I'm aware, they didn't come and speak to me, but they made, I think there was 2 Americans there. They made themselves known to the usher. I think they wanted to take a picture of the court and the thing. And as far as I know, they basically said, we're very interested in this case, right? So again, and we still need you to the written out letter to Rubio, right? We need you to send them to us, because the more letters they get, when I say something to you and ask you to do something, right, many of you actually do it, right? I sent, on behalf of the English Constitution Party, I sent a letter and a petition to the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, in America. The particular type of letter I sent was a legal document letter to the State Department. It cost 50 quid to send it, right? And I know it was sent on the Thursday. I know he received it on the Tuesday. I know that the State Department have read it and they had a sealed copy of the petition, right? So just to make sure you're aware, when you then send it as well, right? So you ain't got to spend 50 quid sending it, right? Maybe it'll cost you, I don't know. Let me think. 10, 15 quid airmail, right? The more of you do that, and they get that, they'll know that there's not just a few, because this country has been taken over. And I did read from this book yesterday and said that we have the right in the English common law to purge communists and fascists from our civil service, right? Now, it's gone further than that. They've taken over the whole country, and that's why we're very nearly at war with Russia, right? Russia is no longer a communist nation, right? They are Orthodox Christians. And remember, the Bolsheviks slaughtered 70 million Russians, right? I ain't got a problem with Russia at all, or the Russian people, right? And I'm English, not British, right? That's the most crucial thing. So hopefully, anyone got any quick questions on that? And if there's anything else, I will try and do it. But any questions on that? Hang on. Luke, the Americans also spoke to Charlie outside. Oh, did they? USA are our brothers and sisters. Us. USA are our brothers and sisters. Yeah. We'll click here on the links. So we're going to have to increase the GoFundMe. So I want to know now, has anyone heard about this election petition on the mainstream media, on the BBC, ITV, Sky News, GB News, anything like that? No. I haven't heard any. Well, I don't watch it. The British Soviet Union needs to be stopped. It does indeed. BAM7, let's have a look at that. What do you say? Evening, everyone. EP70, US ambassador said he would be keeping an eye on the communists when they announced the US-UK trade deal. English veteran, great news, right? So there's a lot of things going on in the background. Another thing is Chris Thrall released a video today of me speaking at the case last week. So I said it's next week. It's now gone and happened. I didn't realise it was going to take a week for it to be pushed out. but it is. But all go on there if you can, politely, and say like, great news. You know, we've got the hearing, etc. Now they're still trying to knock this out, right? All I can do, I'm going to have to do a lot of work on this. And she did say to me, nice and succinct. She said, I don't want like pages and pages and pages. And I said, you're not going to get that. I will present to you the law and the authorities. That's it, right? And say this is my opinion on it, right? And she said, no, that's it. That's what we want. So, bearing in mind these are High Court judges, the major benefit is this judge comes from Liverpool, and she worked in Runcorn, right? So she listen. She's on it. So that is a great thing. This is great exposure, DD. So, and again, there's some other things that I want to go through tonight. Are you happy? So I've sort of give you an update on this. Are you happy with that? And I'm asking everyone, right? Please share these videos because they're crucially important, right? What that guy stood up and said today, people don't know, right? I know, and I've told my audience this, a single electorate, just one electorate can bring an election petition, right? Doesn't need to be the candidate. And if an electorate says, I want to know where my vote's gone because I am suspicious that you have used your ad hoc alternative vote system, which is unlawful, we've already had a referendum on it, right? So imagine when you push this forward and they go, whoa, hang on a minute, right? They don't know what I'm going to smack around their face, right? And I promise you faithfully, the research on what's going on now under international and common and constitutional law, they're going to get interface with it. And these people don't know, right? They're sitting there like on their AI machines and they don't know, right, what the law is. The system itself, and I'm going to get back very shortly to talking about something else. So one, hit the like button. We're 30 minutes into this update. I'm going to hit my key, right? I want as many people. If you appreciate what we all did today, and I'm part of a team, you're the team, right? The people who come into that gallery today showed that High Court judge there is public interest. It is crucially important. And I think I'm right in saying it shocked the legal professionals in that court that they got so many people turn up, right? And then there was more coming in, right? So just to make sure everyone's aware, you deserve an applause. Fantastic. Hit the like button, share this. Rumble is the place to be in the future, not YouTube, right? Not Facebook. If you want your constitutional rights and you want the education of that, you need to come to Rumble, right? You need to come to this site and I will tell you the law and your rights, right? But constitutionally, I'm not a solicitor. I'm not a barrister. I'm a constitutionalist, right? It's crucially important you understand that, right? Majorly, hit the like button. I haven't pressed my button at the moment, so I want to see what it says in a couple of seconds. But what I really want to do is see that well in excess of 100, right? For before the 30, or at 30, 40 minutes, right? And everyone watching this on catch up, hit the like button, share the video. It's crucially important because the mainstream media are keeping this under the radar, right? We need to get this out there, right? Our country has been taken over by communists, right? They're giving away Gibraltar. They've given away the Chagos Islands, right? They're potentially about to give away the Falklands, right? They're prosecuting our veterans, right? We are the only people out there standing up, and they are persecuting our pensioners and people with disabilities. That is communism, right? We need to stand up, and you need to stand up, and we need to get this message out there, right? So when people know when we stand in an election, who we stand for, the Greys, right? the people, the power of our vote is just as powerful now at 90 years old as when you was 18 years old. Don't let them steal your vote. It's yours. You are the one who puts down who I'm voting for. They have no right to reallocate that in an alternative vote system that they ad hoc use. They have cheated their way into governance of this country against the governance of the people. The people wanted something else, and that's crucially important for people to learn, right? So hit the like button, put it out there, and subscribe, because subscribing to this channel and the American audience know we exist, right? They want us, right? And I said something in court today to people and said, you know, there could be an application going for a political asylum because you are persecuting the English, right? And people have started to take note of what's actually going on, right? The only time an Englishman can say he's an Englishman is when he's in a foreign country. He can't say he's an Englishman in his own nation, right? That's a disgrace, right? And we need to turn it round, and we are the people turning that round. So hit the like button, crucially important. I'm going to hit that button now. I'm going to cry if it ain't over 100. Honestly, I'm going to be in tears. Ready? Yes! It's like a bingo, right? There's a few ladies out there watching, don't know what bingo means, right? My version of bingo, not anyone else's. Anyway, Taffy Pat, the English Constitution is the solution for Wales too. Taffy Pat, I love Wales, you know I do. And England and Wales are common law jurisdictions. I love Scotland. It's a Roman law jurisdiction, alien to the English. And again, I've already been through that. Northern Ireland is an external country to England, but we love Northern Ireland, and Northern Irish are more English than the English, right? And I just want to make sure everyone's aware of this. This is not about me pitching against the people against each other. This is about us getting rid of the political union, get rid of the communists and the fascists, as it says in the Helsby's Laws of England, and returning respect for our independence and our nations, and that we have self-determination. That's it, right? The politicians, the communists and the fascists should be purged from the civil servants and all forms of governance of this country, right? This is a great nation, very nearly 2 years off 1100 years old, right? And a lot of major nations in the world, including the United States of America, look to England for our justice system, right? And they all know that. So again, keep pushing this out there. We've got over 406 watching at the moment. I am about to go on to... there's two other things I'm going to cover. One is, and this is crucial because it's part of this case, Dominic Cummings has done a video and expressed, right, that there's been major cover-ups by politicians and the civil service of the rape gangs, and he's calling them rape gangs, rape and torture, the next word they want to use, right? I've put it out there, and it was on them leaflets that the Royal Mail didn't deliver, right? The Criminal Justice Act 1988, Section 134, torture. Look at the four elements. In any one of them elements, not all, but any one of them is in the element. And you've got conspiracy laws as well. Just to make sure you understand this, it is a mandatory life sentence, right? No discretion of a judge. And that's what they don't want the people to know, right? And we have the evidence because Dominic Cummings is telling you, right? I've told you, and what the British don't want, right, is for that message to get out, and they didn't want that message to get out in Runcorn and Helsby. And that's why the Royal Mail, right, pulled them leaflets, right? You have the right to know. As constituents, you had the right to know. And they decided, and it had election communication on it. In my submission to the judge that I know that she read, there is a contract in law. When they give us the authorization number, right, which they did, they approved it for delivery. And it stated clearly, election communication. They had no right not to deliver it. And it's an individual criminal offence not to do it. And it is also, not almost, also a human rights thing. Simon Lacey, I left a comment about criminal justice on GB News interview with Dominic Cummings. Well done. More people need to do that, right? YouTube are suppressing. This is why YouTube's not going to be there in 18 months, right? Nor will Facebook, right? They're both military intelligence, part of the PSYOP to control the people. America's not having it anymore, right? They're taking back control of not only the internet, but the platforms. And Rumble is that platform, right? X to some extent, but it's still controlled. The censorship for London is still controlled by the British. And Elon Musk needs to seriously pull them people out and stop them algorithms, because that's why my channel was taken down on X recently, last year, right? And all I talk about is constitutional law. Kenny, how you doing, son? I feel angry about those leaflets missing. They cost us a lot of money. Taffy Pat, yeah, no, they did. And that's what I've expressed. I've also expressed this because the returning officer council basically said, there was 6 votes in it, but obviously it hangs in the balance with Sarah Burgeon, and the people need to know. And what I said was, that's not just about that with the election, right? We have a position as a political party that we've got to get out. We paid, right, through deposits. People have donated to us £500 deposit. We have to get 5% of the vote. So if you reallocate our votes to someone else, you're actually stealing our money, right? Not just our leaflets, but you're doing lots of things. And she went, right? So she understands this is it's not as simple as what they're trying to make it out to be. And they don't like the fact that I'm pressing the buttons, right? Saying, no, right? And again, it was in the submissions. Time to get in touch with the Texans. Trust me, we are. Sean Tyler, Neil 56, Razor Tony. Let's have a look. Tina Joyce. What can I do to help you need a secretary? Do you see Nick from UKIP trying to stop the boats? I can't see anyone trying to stop the boats but us as constitutionalists. We are entitled to do that. Keep sharing, people, really important. So go for it, take the L, do a repost, do whatever you need to do, hit the button, but also hit the like button. Let me hit it again. We're at now 140 likes. That's fantastic. Keep going. We have got, I think, just over 400 people watching. I have a look, but it doesn't show me how many people are watching on X. And again, we are being censored on X, but not by Elon Musk, but by the British in London. But again, the interview with Dominic Cummings is crucially important because it supports our argument of the Criminal Justice Act 1988, Section 134, torture. And people need to be aware you can also take that as universal jurisdiction because so there's something crucial that you need to understand. One is that it comes from the United Nations Convention Against Torture that we signed up to and ratified in 1984. But then we brought into domestic law with the Criminal Justice Act 1988, and Her Majesty the Queen assented to it. So therefore, it is law. It is actually contempt of sovereign. So if there's 169 on X plus 400, 4, 5, so nearly 600 people watching. That's what you need to do. Keep pushing it out there. Listen, we're going to bring this back up. Remember when I used to get 10,000 viewers on YouTube? Or on average 1,500 viewers live, right? This isn't a Mickey Mouse channel, people, but you have to work at Rumble, right? Nothing in this life is free. Work. I'm going to say this. I don't want to say what I was going to say. I'll be called all sorts of things, right? But you need to push that out there. So making sure everyone is watching this, and we'll get on to the next part of this show. So Dominic Cummings interview, crucially important. If you ain't seen it, go and watch it. I've pushed out a number of. Let me see if I can go and find it for you, because it is crucially important. And if anyone hasn't seen this particular leaflet, I'm going to show it to you now, just so you can see it. Right, I'm not sure. I can't bring this up any higher on the screen. It won't allow me to bring it up because it's on Twitter. Justice for the victims of rape and torture. Prosecutions, not inquiries. We have the evidence. Let the jury decide. And then on that, it particularly says defending your rights. So everyone knows what this is about. I need to get some reprints of this. So if Q is listening, I need to speak to our printer and get some of these leaflets, even if it's 100 of them made up and sent to us. Obviously, we'll pay for them, because I need to show them and issue them to the judges when they come to listen to our case. So that needs to be done pretty quick. So I'm just saying, and someone needs to remind me to get that done. It's just everything's on my head at the moment. Vote Graham Moore, English Constitution Party, Runcorn and Helsby constituency by-election. Our pledge to you, and then the number one pledge: justice for the English. We demand the prosecution of all state officials under Section 134 of the Criminal Justice Act 1988 for torture. Those who acquiesced, consented, omitted, or acted to cause the rape of white working class English girls, primarily by Pakistani Muslim men, must face trial, not just a public inquiry. Section 6 mandates a life sentence upon a guilty verdict with no judicial discretion. Life means life. State officials includes MPs, lords, judges, Crown Prosecution Service staff, ministers, prime ministers, police and council officials, right? 2, detain and deport. We will detain and deport all illegals regardless of arrival date, deport all foreign criminals, including those of constituent nations of the UK, Scots, Irish, Welsh. We are nations with our own communities and culture. Remember, Helsby's Laws of England said that Scotland and Northern Ireland are separate nations, just as much as France and Germany, right? Nothing I say to you is bullshit. It comes from the law, right? 3, your voice, not party whips. We, the English Constitution Party, has no whips. We answer solely to the people of Runcorn and Helsby, representing your grievances and safeguarding your civil liberties as English men, women and children. I have been asked to stand by the team in Runcorn and Helsby as the leader, and don't forget I was assented to stand as the leader and expert in what was that? Something else just flew past me. I have been asked to stand by the Runcorn leader and expert in English constitution rights. We have a constitution, we have constitutional rights, and you have been lied to by the state educators. Claim your rights and safeguard your future grandchildren's rights. Elect an English constitutionalist. Churchill walked away from mainstream politics in 1924. He stood as an English constitutionalist and won his seat, right? Let's make England safe again for the English. Vote Graham Moore, right? Now, that is what the Royal Mail did not want delivered, right? And therefore, some of them people come back at it. I just want to make sure you're clear on this. There's a number of different elements. This was a fantastic interview. I sent it to Andrew Gold. I've had no reply to it whatsoever. We are being suppressed and oppressed. So people should go through my feed and retweet them so the people start to see it and they'll get the interviews. And we need to get these people an interviewing, right? Ukraine several times. Again, there's other issues which I'll be getting back to in a couple of seconds. Truth of Scotland. Daniel Miller is live. There's a great bloke. Let me have a look and see if I can show you this. Evidence is there. The prosecutions, why the Royal Mail loop. I'm not sure which one this is. So again, there's another one that I'll put out there. I'm not sure. I've actually, that's quite a nice fella. She's absolutely gorgeous, that woman, don't you think? I don't normally go for blondes. People say blondes have more fun. I don't think so. I've had a lot more fun with brunettes, I've got to tell you. And I've had even more fun with the greys. Anyway, Carl Benjamin is unclear. Can't stand that woman, another communist. Again, this poor lass, Charlene Downs, who was murdered, minced into kebabs by Blackpool grooming gang reveals she's still stuck in that day, 20 years on from her disappearance. I'm not surprised. Horrifying story. And again, I don't think the Americans know exactly what went on there, and they should do. So I'm trying to find. Someone should have it. There's another image that I put out. Who's that one there? I'm not over it. I'm not sure what's going on with that one. Again, there's lots of information going out there. I must put on there Charlie Kirk. There's our show. Did you like that picture, by the way? Royal Courts of Justice petition hearing. All this information out there. You notice that UNN News has not mentioned this as well. They keep saying they're alternative news. They haven't even mentioned the petition. Haven't interviewed about it. There's only a select few have been absolutely putting this out there. I'm trying to find a Dominic Cummings one for everyone to understand what's going on. Has anyone got that? If anyone can find a Dominic Cummings bits and pieces. Stop sharing because I don't want to put anything out there. I've got to put this message in it. I can't believe this. I've got some stuff around someone's house. I may have to take it out of storage right now and put it somewhere else, but I need it picked up if I can. Been busy in high court. All right. Let me have a look. New Age Templar, QQQ, can't Graham get a PO sale so we can register to vote in his jurisdiction. Let me have a look. She thinks so. She can't be 100% on it. I don't know what that means. More mail leaf. She thinks so. Let's have a look. Right, Woohoo, New Age Templar. I'll throw in a grand help for fees, crowdfunding. We need some serious people helping at the moment because they are trying to bankrupt me, by the way. And that's not just an idle threat. That is what they tried to do it with Andrew Bridgen. Try and bankrupt him, and he can't stand in an election. These people are quite vicious. Hang on, I'm live. Moment. William the First, 1830. Can he be right? The William the Conqueror, 26/6. Crutch fries. I don't know what's going on there. Has anyone got the video of Dominic Cummings saying they have conspired? He actually said there was conspiracy. Remember I said there's conspiracy laws to this? That's why they're shitting themselves, right? Because they know that you can put the conspiracy laws in England and torture, and they can be found guilty of conspiracy. It's a much wider catch-all, and they know it, right? I know it, right? They will use it against us, but they don't want to use it against their own lot. So I just want to make sure we're all getting there. I'm glad you said it that because I was sure of that. Sure of what? They are trying to bankrupt us all. No, I agree. Candy Floss. Is the show being repeated? What do you mean repeated? It will be repeated. What's that? Stafford Ron. What does that mean? Is the show being repeated? Hi mate, you might be a bit late. What does that mean? England are one. Would an advert in the Light Truth would be worth considering? It would be, but it's very expensive. But we do need to get this out there. We need to understand what it is. I can't see some of these messages coming up. Always premeditated, I believe, fabricated with intent. All right. Let me have a quick look and see if I can see this. Right, so I'll do, if anyone's got, can you put it in the full English moderator channel? I need the Twitter with Dominic Cummings, hopefully with me. I can't find it. Let me go back and have a quick look and see if I can find it. I can't concentrate on everything at the same time. Starmer, Fabian C exposed and not. I'm trying to find where that is. Benjamin Netanyahu, president playing wing of Zion, took off from Tel Aviv at 12 minutes this morning local time. He landed in Athens, Greece. Greece is sheltering war crimes fugitives who's just launched an attack on Iran. And Greece is where they're handing control of the European Union armed forces, as well as Portugal, just to make sure everyone understands that. Two Titans, Graham and Chris Froll. Again, everyone needs to put that out there if people don't know and they haven't seen that. Chris Froll show was today. Englishman, let me see if I can find this. I'm trying to get this video. Candy Gloss one, naked brief. Let's have a look. Copy link. Jimmy, let's just put that in there. All right. Let me see if I can put that one in there. I prefer to put my one out there so we can smash it out. Candy Gloss, this one. I think Daz, etc. We don't listen. I'm not being rude, but I don't particularly want to advertise Tommy Robinson. He's literally stripping the funding for real patriots who are standing up against a crooked system here. He ignored my request. So Basil, you do not need inquiries. The evidence is here. We need prosecution. This is why the Royal Mail Group. Let me have a look and make sure I'm putting this out so everyone can see it. There it is, and I put the leaflet out there. This is why the Royal Mail Group Limited did not deliver the lease. It reached page 2, and then I put it to Dominic Cummings. So the more people send this and redo this, let me put that out to everyone. They don't like this at all, and Lucy and Juicy will tell you that anyone that puts this on YouTube, that the comment is deleted. So you've got to get this out in other ways. It's really important. And here is the actual video. So what I'm going to do is go back. Hopefully you can hear this. Touchwood. You'll have to tell me if you can hear it because I ain't got my earphones in, so I can't hear anything.
Mass cover-ups of the whole thing for the same reason that we've already alluded to, fear. Fear of the political consequences of facing reality. What I saw in 2011, I mean, there are lots of different things. Normally in Whitehall, the cliche that it's a cock-up, not a conspiracy, is generally true. The one big exception, I would say, is regarding child abuse, where there are actually multiple conspiracies constantly and largely successful. I watched these happening repeatedly in the Department of Education because the issue was parked there by Gordon Brown and Ed Balls, so I had to deal.
I'm going to stop it there for a second. So he watched it repeatedly in the Department of Education. They're the people that should be protecting our children. That's why you need to homeschool your children, right?
With it when I was there, I would watch the redacted documents and the actual unredacted documents about lots of these cases, and you could see that the redacted documents are redacted entirely to hide the incompetence of the system. Now, what happened on the gangs is that when Andrew Norfolk at the time started to try to report the issue, the council went to officials inside the Department of Education and said, we want to bring a judicial review to have the courts suppress the Times' reporting and not allow it to happen. Some of the officials inside the DFE, who routinely organised cover-ups on such issues, were of course very in favour of it. But there were another set of officials inside DFE who agreed with me that this was absolutely appalling, and in fact we should do the opposite. So what we ended up doing was saying to Michael Gove, you should write to the council and say that if you bring this judicial review, we will actually appear in court on behalf of the Times, not on behalf of you. That obviously blew up the judicial review attempt by the council to keep it secret, and then Norfolk could publish his piece in the Times. Unfortunately, I think Norfolk died recently without even knowing that this ever even happened. But that's just one small example of something which happened many, many times on this subject over a few decades in Whitehall, which is, of course, why the system is absolutely desperate not to have an inquiry. A system which has inquiries at the drop of a hat about all kinds of, like, one person dies, public inquiry, spend 80 million quid on lawyers, take 5 years. This case involving thousands and thousands and thousands of children, no.
It just, to me, it seems bizarre there's no accountability.
Right, so I'm going to stop that there. Hopefully everyone saw that. I'm going to put that again out there. People need to massively retweet that. So Basil, who is a unionist, as far as I know, Basil the Great, got a large account, never spoke to me during the Runcorn and Helsby, didn't have me on there, wanted to talk to all these political pundits, but an actual candidate he didn't want to talk to, right? I'm not having a pop at him. I'm just saying there's a reason why the Royal Mail didn't want this leaflet on there. Let me just show you it again, because it is important, right? That's part of the reason why there is now a High Court case with 2 High Court judges coming to Runcorn and Helsby. They'll be reading this leaflet. I need to get our printer to print me 100 copies of it again, right? Maybe slightly larger, right? So they can all see it and read it clearly, and everyone says, wow, right? Now we understand why you didn't want this print. And we can say to the High Court judges, this is one reason, right, that we didn't want a divisional court in any way or form involved with this case, right? This is the King's Bench division and the common law on constitutional rights. This is nothing to do with a divisional court, right? And yet, that's what they're trying to do, stick this in front of a divisional court, which is administrative law. That's not what this case is about. Again, we've got to express to people, and we will tell people, and we will tell the world, we have been taken over by communism, right? There is a communist fifth column, right, in this country that have taken control of this nation. And when I speak of this nation, I speak of England, right? So just everyone needs to be aware of that. And then, and these up, especially the alternative media, they're following the narrative, right? They're brainwashed, right? They're very clever in what they do. What I'm talking about is the state in drawing these people in, whereas we think independently, right? That's the beauty of us. Sometimes I often say, I said it today, right? It's like herding cats, right? Patriots is like herding cats because they're independent-minded, right? Whereas everyone else is like, throw a bit of food out and it's a load of geese following. That's communism, fascism, right? Not the same thing. And that's why England is about lions. We are the biggest cats of all. The world is starting to see the communists here and the mainstream media and the alternative media. There's a handful of real alternative media, and that place, and it's more difficult, is here, right? Is here on Rumble. The reason why X isn't as good as Rumble is because it is still controlled by London, right? The London censorship still operates. The Facebook censorship still operates. My voice print is attacked on Facebook. YouTube, right, should be gone, completely taken down. Google itself is crooked and corrupt. So is Wikipedia, right? And to some extent, so is Grok. Garbage in, garbage out. Right, Giggle, and that is where Grok is getting its information. Unlike us, who get our information from real law books. Right. When I say real law books, you'll all understand. When I pick up a real book, these books behind me, they're real. It's not a green screen. Right. I talk about the real law. Right. Not the nonsense that these communists and common law landers and all they talk about. Right. We're not interested in that. Alternative media are mainly idiots or against us. They're not idiots. None of them are idiots. None of them. I want to make sure I dispel that. Right. This is not about incompetence. They are very competent. They are communists. They know exactly what they're doing. And that's the bit that people really have to understand. This is not about idiocy. The idiocy is not voting, right? Because what you do then is aid and abet the enemy, because they can only cheat in an election with the lowest of turnouts, and they do their alternative vote ad hoc system that they've got, which is unconstitutional, highly illegal, and a referendum already put pay to that in 2011. We voted no, right? That's it, right? And what they've done is pursued it, but they've pursued it unlawfully. And again, we've already said no to an alternative vote system, and it's so crucial that you all understand it. Let me ask this audience now, on YouTube, on Rumble, on Twitter. Let me ask the question: do you understand that we said no in a national referendum? When I say national, I mean unionist, right? Referendum in 2011. We said no to alternative vote. Do you all understand that? And therefore, them to take your vote and put it in their pile, they are using an ad hoc conspiracy against your constitutional and common law rights. You are governed by consent, and no one consented, right, to them ad hoc alternative vote system. Just to make sure we're clear on this, because that's exactly what's going to be put to these two judges, right? We had a referendum on this. They are not allowed to do it, right? So is everyone clear on what I'm saying? It's crucially important that you understand that concept. We had a referendum and we said no. We are governed by consent, right? You do not alter the voting system at will. Our voting system, right? Our voting system is part of our constitutional rights. That's why we had a referendum. Everyone got that, right? That's a warning to these people, right, of what's coming. If you want to start playing silly buggers with our rights, and especially when you cheat in an election against a constitutionalist, expect to get an election petition and expect to get single or multiple, in terms of what we could do now. Once this petition is advertised, the electors will start standing forward and saying, Graham, we get it, right? Here's a statement, right? Watch them statements start building up, right? That's what they're terrified of. That's why they're trying to kick this case out, right? Because they know I'm right. They know you're right as constitutionalists. And they know that they have abused this system in such a way that some of them can be sent to prison, right? And there was enough cameras in there, people, and enough witnesses in there, people, to tell them you can't do this, right? And they still did it, right? And they did it because the turnout was low, because people don't understand their constitutional right. You must vote, right? Get out there and vote. How America took back America and is taking back America now is because the public realised they had to get out and vote, and they did. That's exactly what we'll do. And then we will purge the communists. Then we will purge the fascists from our system. Remember what it said in Helsby's Laws of England? I read it all to you. Yeah? And it's in their words. We must purge communists and fascists from the civil service. Not just the civil service, but our governance and our crown, right? That is the way you take this country back. So again, just to make sure everyone gets that, keep sending it out there. Keep sharing this video, people. It's not a game, right? They're going to try and bankrupt me as the leader of an English Constitution party, right? We haven't got Aaron Banks, right? And by the way, he got the nod through to get an insurance company, big insurance company he owns. It was Stuart Wheeler, now deceased, right? Bankrolled the UKIP party, right? It now turns out that people in America understand Farage ain't who he says he is, right? He's an establishment figure. And what you're seeing is people being suckered into that, right? As simple as that. So again, the purge, get on with it. I feel it in my water. No, again, let me just make sure, if you don't, whilst I don't want to overemphasise this too much, although I will emphasise this, right to privacy. All our rights are in here, by the way. I do love this book. I am so grateful to duties of the subject, guaranteed citizen married foreign situations, right to life. All this information is in there. Right to the protection of the law, right to privacy. Again, estoppel. Let me just go where else this comes in. I've got to go and try and find that bit. Oh, there it is. I actually got that in there. Yeah, let me. Is it that one or that one? No, not that one. That one. Let's see if it's that one. Here it is. Right. You think I should have had a yellow bit of sticker on that? Oh. Right, we ain't got on to Charlie's case yet. Maybe I should get Charlie on to talk about it. I've got to take another one of them fucking things. Right, here we go. Security in the civil service. Rules exist governing the use and custody of official documents and varying with a degree of secrecy or confidentiality attributed to them. It is a breach of discipline for the civil servants not to obey those rules. You mean like a referendum? In addition, civil servants may be subjected to a purge, and it's in inverted commas, right? Procedure and a positive vetting procedure. The purge procedure is designed to prevent persons with communist or fascist association being employed on work, the nature of which is vital to the security of the state. Right? That is at page 809, paragraph 1310 of Helsby's Laws of England, 4th edition, volume 8, constitutional law. Right? Conflict of laws as well. Right? So I'm not lying to you. Everyone should understand what I'm talking about is the truth. And when we start smacking them with this stuff, they ain't going to like it. Because I'm not going to stand there like a free man of the land fuckwit, right, and talk to two high court judges at the same time, presiding over this hearing, talking nonsense. It is my responsibility for you to represent you and the people of Helsby, Runcorn and Helsby, and you as a group of people. And all I can do is do my best. I might be a bit nervous, right? I might have to use the toilet a few times before we actually get in there. But that was it. Hopefully everyone was in there today was quite pleased with what I achieved or what we achieved. And again, I hate saying I, right? There is no I in team, right? We're a team. And I do absolutely mean that. And I've never been more pleased to be a part of this team. Right, you are all fantastic people. Purge is a beautiful word. Who says that? Let's have a look. Plus, let me. I can't even see. Purge is a beautiful word. Every time that someone goes and does that, I can't see it because it goes too quick. You're all getting on there. You will be awesome, DD. Yeah, well, we try. I can only try. All right, God loves a trial. You should have seen me trying on the tube with these little birds with mini skirts. Here, babe. Fuck off, Grandad. I was like, oh, turn it in. You're old enough to be my granddad. I'm 28. Not really. I don't. Honestly, women under 30 don't interest me. Well, actually, some women under 40 don't interest me either. But it was funny outside the court. They went, what's your range range? Who was it, Wilsey? He said, what's your range range? What sort of range do you look at then? I said, 40 to 80. He went, 80? I said, this is nothing beats a bit of experience, son. I'm only joking, right? And then someone else said, you still looking for a girlfriend? I said, yeah, we'll put it out in our group. I said, good. And that was it. So, but I do have a laugh. Listen, right? I don't use this show as my own personal dating show. Trust me, I ain't with anyone, so it can't be, can it? I can't wait to get to Devon. right? I said to me, what you going to give Devon for? So they got sheep. He said, you're not a Welshman, you're an Englishman. Well, yeah, you know, I said, the pub's 3 doors away. You know what it's like when you get beer goggles and you go for a walk on the moors. I shouldn't say these things. The trolls will take it serious, right? I'm only having a laugh, right? So anyway, I'm allowed to have a bit of downtime when I get home, right, and have a laugh, right? I hope the judge ain't watching this. I walked in and someone said to me, the judge is a fucking scouser. I said, fuck me, where's my wallet? Joking, right? So anyway, there we go. Listen, I don't care, right? Listen. I'll leave me granddaughters, mate, alone. Trust me, right? It don't even enter my head. Not that I see my granddaughter, all right, mates. But Juicy and Lucy Nerves. What's this one? 272 on X. Thank you for watching on X. Thank you for watching on Rumble. Rumble's important. Keep the figures going. The more you share, the more you care. Get it out there. This is history in the making. We intend to keep pushing forward with this so everyone understands what's going on, right? It's not necessary that Sarah Pouchin, we're going to have to find a nickname for her. It's going to have to be something to do with her body shape, isn't it? Like gorgeous or something. Let me have a look. Cockney girl, can't wait for a Devon cream tea. Who's that? Yeah. Don't go with his sheep. They've been jabbed. You're right there. That's one reason why I wouldn't go near one. Not only that, it's the goats you got to be careful of. You never know who's been up a goat. Sorry. Right. New Edge Templar. Anton, totally agree. So they are going to be trying to bankrupt me. We're going to have to up the limit on our GoFundMe because the judge is instructed you need to for you to do a proper GoFundMe, you need to roughly know what it's going to cost. And I've said, yeah, go on. Or you can pay it direct to my account just to make sure. So there's £1,800 and something already. I'm going to put that information out there again as I can. What's this? Christopher interviews going more. Yeah, want that one out there. Put that information. So at the moment, just advertise this, Tracy, this GoFundMe. Not that I'm not interested in Charlie Staples' one. We are, but this is the 1 metre enemy, right? Not the other case. So Charlie's case, I'll get onto in a couple of seconds. Anyone want to hear about Charlie and Charlie's case? Because he's done really well today. Stood up in court, toing and froing, all right? Throwing one or two at the judge. And again, Wilsey was in there listening to what was going on. It is going before a jury. Very, very, very. He did very well today, right? But they knocked out a couple of things which they shouldn't have done because that's almost been relitigated, and that was wrong. The judge today didn't know. He stood up and asked some questions, which I was really pleased. The judge was a bit fierce and sort of having a pop at him at first. His trial date is being set, if I remember rightly, December 2026, right? A jury trial. The judge tried to get him to drop it against the 4 officers. Charlie said, no, I'm not doing that. He said, well, you're going to increase your costs. He said, I'm not going to lose. Then he started talking about some other bits and pieces. We went through some directions, and then he started talking to the judge about the missing transcripts. And the judge went, well, that just happens. And he went, yeah, but we're talking about torture. He went, oh, that's nonsense. He said, no, the trial judge put to the jury, and there were certain admissions made during that trial by the officers, which we wanted to use in this case. And because the trial transcript has gone completely missing, and the police officer's camera wasn't working, was switched off, he went, all right. And he said, so the judge went, and anyone listening to that case today will say the judge changed. He said, he went, I've never heard any judge put torture to a jury. So Charlie went, yeah, he did. Well, don't forget, Charlie was the defendant and represented himself. He went, so he said, oh, basically, he got a unanimous not guilty. And he went, well, the judge put torture to the juries. And so Charlie said, yeah, the judge said to the jury, if you believe that he's been tortured, you must find him not guilty. You find that extraordinary. He said, well, that's what he said, right? And he said it was a torture case. That was my defence. So Charlie put to the judge, if you know, like it looks like they've got rid of the trial transcript. He went, yeah. He said, well, can I have the judge's notes? And the judge went, I wouldn't give anyone permission to see my notes. Right, so I started laughing. I won't say what I wrote on my notes about the judge and show someone next to me, and they write the same type of things as what I write, right? So he went, but did you say this? You had directions. You've got that evidence. He went, yeah, and he went, really? He said, well, you can make an application and explain that the trial transcripts, and he said, well, by law, you've got to keep it. He went, yeah, well, that's an offence, a state offence against you. It's against your common law right, because it's a court of record, right? He went, it was a long time ago since I've been in that. He said 30 years ago since I sat in that court. And he said, I have sat in that court as a judge. And he said, he said, this is very unusual, right? And Charlie started to turn it around. And I deliberately stood back because this judge would not wanted me, and he was fierce, right? But everyone who watched it said that judge definitely changed. When he started saying that, he was like, oh, really? And then he started to be more helpful, right? It weren't just he started to realise, oh, okay, so we've got a torture case, right? But he struck out that part of it, right? And he struck out something else, and he struck out something else, which we can appeal within 21 days. It's if I ain't got enough fucking work to do. But I think we should appeal that for two reasons. Because we're going to be doing the universal jurisdiction part. And what we need to do is show that they've removed both elements, the criminal prosecution for torture and the tort prosecution, the tort liability for torture, right? And it's deliberate. It's a state servant, right? A judge, a crown judge, that's doing that. So that was it. And Charlie, he's got a bit of work to do himself on it. And I said to him, I can't. Here's the specific part of Dominic Cummings' interview. Right, so everyone understands. I had a full day in the High Court today. We was in both courts. Yeah, I've just been sent that. I don't really want to share that on Tommy. That's the Tommy Robinson channel sending out. It's not. Listen, I ain't going to bitch about Tommy Robinson at the moment, but I mean, I don't do egos. I said he could have stood for this party in Runcorn and Helsby. You know, he could have done, but he didn't. English law is the cream of England. The British came in and shook the bottle. The cream is rising back to the top due to everyone here. I'm honoured to be amongst you. Very exciting times. And that was from Mark EB70. It is. And again, I can only say God loves a trial, right? So, I mean, I don't want to go on and now waffle, but I will show you this. Now, we've got to increase the limit of our GoFundMe. I don't know how much it's going to come to, but I can tell you now, they're going to try and bankrupt me, right? They are trying everything possible, including getting this in front of what's called the divisional court, which is judicial review. This case should not be in front of any form of administrative court, right? And I think even the judge was a bit, what? She said, I think her words were, why the divisional court, right? Bearing in mind who she is, right? She's a High Court judge. in the King's Bench, and that's what we're relying on. He seems Camberlow. What's this? Step aside, EP70. Well done, everyone. Keep pushing this out there. I don't know how many people. We're well in excess of maybe 600 people watching at the moment, which is very good. Right, that's a very nice sentiment, Mark. Karma. Let me have a quick look. Sashi March, Pruny, GB. Pruny out there. Hello, Pruny. Real truth, please. When will they tell you the cost? They're gonna get together and tell us what the cost is. Oh, and that's another thing. It's like you're gonna have to pay for a court, like meaning pay for the hire of the court for the trial as well, right? That's how bad these people are, and you could see the judge was a bit they're taking some liberties here, right? And what they're doing is screwing you out of your rights, and I think that's disgusting. And me out of my rights as well, because all the time they do that, they damage us. Hi DD, good work. Juicy and Lucy, 296 watching. So let's say 300. So 4, 5, 6, 4. So 700 people watching. Or there actually is over 700 people watching. I'm really grateful. Listen, this is about you. It's about your rights. You're this team. And what we're putting together here is a group of people that are going to take this country back. Listen, you don't need hundreds of thousands of people. You need a core group of people who know what they're doing, right? And that's exactly who we are, right? And all I want at the end of this, right, is my country back. If I get a decent bird who can cook and she's not just good at making sandwiches. Ouch! I'm sure that that. Anyway, was there anything else? Have I missed anything? I don't think I have missed anything. But again, you're the one getting this out there. You're the one getting this out there. So here's the GoFundMe. And again, I want to make sure everyone is aware of this. I'm going to share this on the screen, right? I don't keep this money, right? I ain't got a gaff in Spain. I ain't doing this. I ain't doing that. All I'm doing, right, is all for the cause. I could end up an absolute pauper in the end of my life, as long as I die knowing that I've done everything possible to save my country and assist my countrymen and women, the English, right? And again, nowhere in our constitution does it mention the colour of your skin, right? That's bullshit. And I just want to make sure everyone does understand that. So everything's out there. So everyone got that out there. I've put that out there. I'm not sure if I can spin that. Let's see if I can see if it's gone up while we're watching. But it's gonna have to be raised significantly, right? They are literally trying to screw me into the ground. I can tell you their threats didn't work though. Users SC. Let me have a look. Taffy back. Good night, DD and everyone. Until Monday night. Hope everyone has a good weekend. God bless you all. God bless you as well, Taffy Pat. What needs to happen for you to win? I've got to do a lot of fucking work. That's what's going to happen. Today, Matthew, identify as someone who likes pies. Kew Gardens, Pure Bloods. Kew Gardens, did you hear what I said? That we may need to get 100 of them leaflets, maybe make them up as double-sided, but they've got to be out to be read and they've got to be glossy and everything. Everyone goes, wow, look at that. I'm already a pauper, DD, can't get blood out of a stone. We need to keep pushing this. Yes, we do. Keith 560, good night, DD and everyone. Yep. Everyone, good night, God bless. Are you happy with the update? Have I covered everything? There's probably a few things I've missed. I probably need people like Steve Lomas and others to go through it and bring out some of the points that they brought up. Thank you for everything you do, Graham. You are a star. I'm not a star. The team, the star. Juicy and Lucy, Tracy Truism, all of the team that come up there today, all wonderful people. Andy, the lovely, and I can click on this and I'll get a name up. They're all wonderful people, every one of them. They're just such beautiful people. All we care about is each other, and that's the way it should be in life. So God bless you all. Don't forget what I believe in. The Constitution is the solution. Let's keep pushing forward, and we will, I promise you, take this country back. The Americans are watching this case, right? And that's exactly what we need. So I'm going to leave the channel up for a little while so everyone can make comments and do everything they need. I'm going to say good night, God bless, yet again. Grasshopper, hello, darling. I had a dream about you the other night. You're supposed to say, did you? And I say, no, you wouldn't let me. That's it. Big love to you all. Eggle 7, thank you. Tiddly poo, Englander, well played, DD. Good night, all. Be lucky, and I will see you all again shortly. Monday night will be live. There's going to be loads of work to do. It's not a minor thing. It's a lot of work, but we'll put the effort in. I may have to split some off and get some research done from some people as well. That's it. Good night. God bless, and I will see you all Monday evening.